Hello everyone, Clack the Geek here, welcome back to a brand new video and our penultimate Series 1 podcast. I can't believe it. And I'm obviously joined with Ronnie.
Hello, how are you?
I'm alright, I can't believe this is the 9th. 8, 9?
Wow. Oh, wow, wow. The symbolism is off the charts.
I can't, it's like, it's Inception level stuff here, folks. Yeah, our penultimate...
Very exciting, very exciting.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, it's our penultimate podcast like for the Series 1 reviews. Boomtown, the 11th episode of Series 1. The sort of like the budget-saving one before the big finale. Yeah, it's a pretty simple episode, and it's not one that's, I'd say, often talked about.
No, I think you could honestly, like, just regard it as one of the most forgettable Doctor Who episodes. Like, when you think of Series 1, you don't immediately go, oh, remember Boomtown? Like,
I mean, it does have its fans. It's a bit of a cult episode, I know that. But let's think, what do we think of it? Let's get into it. So, let's talk about Eccleston, the 9th Doctor.
Are you going to do it?
No. Alright, fine, I'll do it. He's fantastic. I don't tend to do the fantastic pun that often.
Well, it's just a wasted joke on me then.
Yeah.
But
anyway, next week we'll do it in sync or something, I don't know. Anyway, I think he's... Well, Eccleston is just amazing. I think in this episode he sort of shows... He's got that sort of cheeky side, definitely. He's got very funny moments, because it is Russell T Davies who wrote it, but very comedic moments in this one.
I mean, obviously with Captain Jack, it's always going to have the odd innuendo in it and stuff like that, but it's a very... We've said previously on the podcast how he's got his sombre side, he's got his serious, he's got his cheeky, like you say.
Yeah.
But this one, you get to see sort of a new side to him.
Yeah.
But obviously, we don't really experience much in Pilot of the Ways and obviously Bad Wolf, but it's sort of like his mercy and his sort of like compatibility with the monster and sort of like how he sort of reacts with like a one-to-one sit-down almost.
I think you do see that a bit in Part of the Way, especially when he's with the Emperor Dalek and like when he's building the Delta Wave. I think you do see a bit of that there, but it definitely is here and more prominent here.
Foreshadowing for that, maybe. Like it's sort of like he's getting. Obviously, the Daleks are reoccurring, like the Slovene arcs. Obviously, they're in the start of Series 1.
I never thought of it like that actually, but yeah.
Yeah, it could be like obviously he's sort of re-met this old alien that he's met from a couple of episodes ago, and then all of a sudden he does the same with an Emperor Dalek. So it could be foreshadowing for that. I don't know, but
I never thought of it like that. But that's really good, and it is very good for his character arc because obviously we'll get onto Margaret a bit later. But yeah, Margaret the Slovene is obviously on the death penalty if she goes back to Raxacrocophallapatorius. I got it right as well.
God, I'll pay that £20 later.
Yeah, it's like at the beginning of Series 1, like the Doctor would have, without a shadow of a doubt, he would have taken her back to Raxacrocophallapatorius to have her killed. But here, he's, because he's grown and learned throughout the series, he's definitely changed. And now he wouldn't do it. He'd let her have a second chance, as how we do at the end.
I mean, obviously, wow, I wouldn't think of it like that, but obviously, I much agree with you. Obviously, he's very angry in the first couple of episodes, like obviously because of the Time War and all of that. But I think obviously as Rose has changed him, and I
think definitely sort of Dalek is definitely a turning point in this series.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they say it, not to get off topic, but they say in like Journey's End, Stolen Earth, that like when Tennant says to Rose about the Meta Crisis, she says that's him when you first met me. Yeah, because he kills all the Daleks in the end, isn't he? Yeah. And it's like circular narrative, full circle almost. It's brilliant direction, writing.
It's like poetry. It rhymes, to quote George Lucas.
Of course.
Yeah, but yeah, Eccleston is brilliant. He's got a bit of cheekiness, a bit of mercy, sort of the compassionate side. He's just fantastic. Got it in again. So let's talk about the companions. So we've got Rose, Jack, and Mickey. So let's start with Rose. Yeah, she's good in this one.
Yeah, obviously in this one, once again, I think it's one of these episodes where Rose isn't really like needed because, I mean, to be honest, like I think none of them are really needed apart from the Doctor in this.
No.
Because obviously, if you think about it, like obviously, you need it for the story to move it along, and obviously you've got the little side story of Mickey and Rose's relationship as well as obviously.
And I think that stuff is done well. I think that stuff is done well.
Yeah, it's very done well. And obviously the relationship between Rose and Mickey is fantastic. It's lovely. And once again, she's not really always dependent in this. I mean, I think she's seen, obviously, I think her, like, really defining moment is the storyline with Mickey and the bit at the end where Margaret grabs her by the Slovene arm or whatever. That's a really, defining moment for her.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And I think, the way that they handle Rose and Mickey's relationship is very well done. 100%. And then, obviously, we've got Captain Jack, John Barrowman. Now,
of course.
Now, obviously, there's obviously as we said last time, there's been the stuff with John Barrowman recently.
Of course.
And I did forget to put the timestamp in. I'll do it for this one, because we're going to talk about both Jack and Mickey.
I was just about to say that, obviously.
The stuff with Noel Clarke is disgusting. We both don't condone it at all. So if you want to just skip this bit, then go to the timestamp that I'm going to put on screen now, if I remember to put it on at least.
I mean, it is a very sensitive topic. We're not going to go into that. This is a light-hearted. It's based solely on Doctor Who. It's the characters. We're not, like you say, condoning anything that the pair have done. But yeah, I think that's all we need to say on that topic. But anyway.
And if we do praise them, it's going to be praising the characters, not the actors themselves. Just want to make that crystal clear. So, Jack, I think he's quite funny in this episode, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, obviously...
His interactions with the Doctor are quite funny. Doesn't really do an awful lot, but I do like this dynamic of Nine, Rose and Jack. It's one of my favourite TARDIS teams. I just think they just get on really well, and especially in the beginning, when they're at the restaurant and they're in Cardiff Bay, it's just them having fun and having a laugh, and it's really nice to see, sometimes... Because I think that's what you need in Doctor Who. You need just scenes where the characters, they're just exploring, they're just having fun.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, like you say, I mean, even though it's this, hit sci-fi show, there's always, like, action, drama, everything, but, like, obviously, they're telling that little anecdote in the cafe where it's like, oh, no, we should have turned left, and it's just like they're all laughing. It's just, it's great. It's great to see Jack's, like, sort of move on from, like, the scamming, like scavenger type person that he was
the con man.
In the empty told two-parter, so it's good. It's... Yeah, like you say, obviously, innuendos throughout the roof, and I think the contrast between him and the Doctor here, it shows their early relationships. Obviously, Barrowman and Tennant, that was another, good match-up. Obviously, it's the Doctor and Captain Jack. Obviously, I think one of the best scenes for Captain Jack and, obviously, the whole team is when he starts going through the plan, and then the Doctor goes, sorry, who's in charge?
That bit, it cracks me up. The way that... It's like some bloody action movie, like some Jason or James Bond movie or something like... Like, they all put the phones out, and it's like they're all chasing. It looks like some Bond movie.
It's well done. It's well directed. And, great.
And, like, I think... And also Mickey, I wanna quickly just do this so we don't have to talk about him again. I think the way that he's handled is very good, and... the bit where he's like, telling Rose, it's like, you left me, and it's quite powerful stuff in the context of the episode.
Yeah, I think you do sort of see when now that I think about it, it's like, obviously, I think with Sarah Jane, so especially like obviously the Doctor left her behind.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Doctor always leaves the companion, but this time, the companion left there.
Yeah. It's a similar kind of thing to Amy and Rory in the Matt Smith era.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like, I think I've heard this before, it's like sort of the tin dog dynamic.
Yes, because obviously Mickey is presented as Mickey the idiot, but obviously he does have his shining moments, he does, he's... Yeah, I feel uncomfortable talking about the bloke.
And there were scenes in this that actually, there's a few lines that did actually make me feel a bit uncomfortable. The one where it's like, we could go get a hotel, that made me feel uncomfortable with what's happened. Anyway, I want to move on from this bit. Is that alright?
Yeah. Yes, it's completely fine.
So now let's talk about the villain of the episode, Margaret the Slovene, obviously returning from Aliens in London, World War III, played by Annette Badland. And going off topic here, I recently started watching Man Down. It's the sitcom with... It's a sitcom starring Greg Davies from The Inbetweeners, basically playing himself pretty much.
Yeah.
And Annette Badland's in that.
Yeah, I mean, she was the cleaning lady.
I can't. I'm only
For the-
2 episodes
yeah,
in,
yeah,
but
no,
yeah, I was like,
cleaning
I just
lady.
want to take because she was in that, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's what's her face, and I think
Yeah.
isn't Rick male?
Yeah, I mean...
Because I know you love the young ones and Bottom.
I love Rick Mal as an actor, as a comedian, as a bloody person. I mean, it was tragic when he died. Obviously, I don't want to make it some Rick Mal tribute, whatever, but he's brilliant in it, and Annette Badland's brilliant in it. And,
Yeah.
like,
And she's brilliant in this as well, because
yeah,
honestly, like, the character of, Blomfell Fox,
Blotch.
you know, what's her face?
Whatever.
The character is really good, and you do sympathise with the character.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's well delivered. She does sort of look like, I don't know if this is an offensive comment, but she does sort of look like she could be an alien impersonating a human. Like, I don't know what, it's like, she fits the character very well. I don't know if that's an offensive comment to make, but she is wonderful in the role, and I think casting is perfect.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think she's improved a hell of a lot, because in Aliens in London there was a few cringy jokes.
Oh.
Here, yes, there is humour, but it's much better done, and there's actual character, there's depth to the character. The performance is great. You do sympathise with her and the situation, and she's just an interesting villain. And obviously there was the whole sort of bait and switch. It's like, I was lying.
Yeah,
kind of.
and like it's obviously like it's a sort of, you do see like in a heist movie. It's almost like a heist movie that they're trying to like obviously keep it contained. It's like double crossing, double switch.
Yeah, like a bait and switch kind of thing, like a twist.
Yeah, it's brilliantly done. But yeah, it's good to see, like you say, no cringy moments, no I'm shaking my booty, none of that. It genuinely would make you be sick for days, but yeah, she's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I mean, speaking of that twist, I'm half and half on it. I think it's not a bad twist, but I think you could have had it sort of.
You could have predicted it. Let's say.
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of, yeah, but I don't think you really needed it. Maybe I think it could have been done a bit better. Because I was really invested in like the sort of Margaret sympathising with her, and the scene with the doctor in the restaurant as well, when she's like, when the doctor's like, on a whim you'll let somebody go, and it's like only a killer would know that, and you're like, who is this man then? It's some brilliant stuff. So it does somewhat undercut it a bit, and that's a bit of a flaw I have with the episode.
I mean, one last note to add on while we move on. Like, in that scene, the restaurant scene, I think that's probably one of the best scenes in the episode.
Oh, it's the standout scene for me, easily.
She, like, acknowledges what it's like to be human, because she said, obviously, that's where Margaret lives, she lives up there. She showed, like, and do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, she's from this alien planet, she's not even, like, bent on world domination, she just, like, is a criminal, basically, you know?
Yeah.
It's the fact of, like, it's realistic in a way, even though it's an alien. If that makes sense. Yeah.
And it's always interesting seeing like how an alien would adapt to normal things like brushing your teeth or living in an apartment. It's such a, I love like things like that in sci-fi, and I just love it. I think brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
So this episode is obviously, as we said, it's the one before the finale. It's often deemed as like the filler episode, and it was obviously the budget saving one because you've only got a Slovene costume. It's a pre-existing prop that they have.
Yeah.
You've got the TARDIS sets and Cardiff Bay. And by the way, Cardiff Bay, the location work is beautiful. And I've been to Cardiff Bay before as well.
Oh, yeah, mate. I think we've all, especially Doctor Who fans that live...
Oh, yeah, the Doctor experience.
Like, obviously, it was literally around the corner. I've been multiple times when it was open.
I went once, and that was the year they closed, 2017.
Wow. Honestly, I even went before Capaldi.
Man, I went dressed as Capaldi in his velvet. Oh man, that was amazing.
It's a brilliant
It was amazing. But yeah, Cardiff Bay's look great. But yeah, it's a very low budget episode. As I say, a Slovene costume, a pre-existing one, and the only real effect that there is at the end with like the rift opening, and the heart of the TARDIS. They're the only real effects, like CGI, and they're fine. It's not really.
I mean, obviously, it's not really. Obviously, episodes like like we're gonna say, obviously part of the way is Bad Wolf. You do see the multiple CGI effect, like obviously all the Dalek ships, all the explosions, all the death, or whatever.
Yeah, but this isn't really meant to be like an action story.
Yeah.
It's more just like a character piece, isn't it?
Yeah,
and I think
when I was gonna say, talking about characters, just a quick note, it's a very small ensemble. Like you've got say the few odd minor characters, like obviously I'm not sure of her name, the reporter at the start.
yes, that was a brilliant scene with Margaret as well.
Yeah, obviously Margaret the villain, the four, and that's it really. You've got obviously the villain, and then the TARDIS team. That's it really. So, and obviously maybe like the bloke at the start in the cold open where she kills him.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, there are minor characters, but it is just the five of them.
Yeah, so it's a small ensemble, but it's once again a good episode.
Yeah, and it's nice and small scale, and I think it was good to have that at this point in the series because obviously you need to keep budget management in account, but also it's not the fact that
excuse me.
You can still do like sci-fi stories on the cheap. You don't have to have all these explosions or effects. If you have a good story, then there is nothing stopping you from telling that with just a minimalist budget. There's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, when you think about it now, that the like obviously Boomtown and like obviously Bad Wolf and Part of the Waste, they're very contrast because obviously
definitely,
it's very cheap. It's very sort of like low minimalistic, like you say. It's like I say, small ensemble. But whereas Part of the Ways and Bad Wolf, the two-parter, it's filled.
It's an epic, isn't it? It's an epic action story.
It's not necessarily minor characters either. Like obviously you've got the workers that work in for 500.
I think we should probably get that save that for next week.
Yeah, I was just I'm getting on topic,
but yeah, I think it does well with the budget, and it's a nice smaller scale story. Feels a bit different from other stuff. It makes it feel distinct, and yeah, I just like it. So let's talk about the direction and the effects and stuff like this, sort of the visuals of it. It's a nice, as we said, Cardiff Bay, beautiful location, and if you ever get a chance to visit, do visit it because it is a lovely, lovely place.
Yeah, it is absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful looking,
and it gives some really nice locations. Especially at night time when it's,
it's all lit up. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
I think I'll be lying if I said I didn't act like I was in a TARDIS standing next to the rift, but yeah, it's genuinely like when we talk about direction, it's the camera work. I think it's heavily like to some people watching obviously Doctor Who fans that are just like, oh, okay, I'm going to look at sort of like the camera. But obviously for me, I always look at like obviously the different like the editing and the cuts and the scenes that are put together and the camera work and what angles they're using, like what shots, mid.
I mean, recently in media at school, I had to do this. We had to do this like thing on like camera angles and camera shots, and I picked a shot from Boomtown. It was the bit where they all walk out the TARDIS. It's like a long shot, I think. Yeah. And it's some really good camera work as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you do get the splice of the different sort of like the shots like that are just like the quick pace running, and then you get the action shots where like Jack's like running and jumping over the table when they're going to fetch Margaret, and obviously when they're running after us, there's the teleports and like where that's placed in that little alleyway. It's brilliant.
And the way certain shots are like framed, especially in the restaurant, it does feel quite sort of claustrophobic a bit.
Yeah,
it's like
even though it's a big open space,
you're not sure what's going to happen, and I think that's really it was really effective.
Yeah, it's very.
So overall, what do we think of it? That's the end.
I think it's a good episode.
Same.
It's not necessarily great. I mean, I'd say maybe lenient into saying great, but like it's not. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it, but no. To be honest, there's nothing wrong with it. Now that I think about it, there's nothing discernibly I can say. Oh, that's bad. So it's a good episode. It's good. I could probably watch it again and again. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy it. I'd give it a solid 7.5.
7.5. I'd give it around an 8.
Yeah, that's
maybe
a fair score.
An 8.3 if we're getting technical.
I don't really do that kind of. I just do 0.5s. But it's a good episode. Nothing I really have wrong with it, apart from maybe the twist that I was a bit iffy on. But other than that, I'm not. It's not a groundbreaking episode. It feels like sort of one like on a par with someone like Rose or the other Slitheen story. But it's not bad. It's a good episode and it's an easy watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the end of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on Boomtown? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And it's Clack of the Geek and RonaparTV signing out.
And yeah, subscribe to RonaparTV. Bye.